because sometimes even within manifesting, like you get the thing and you're like, okay, cool. And then you're like, you know, and it doesn't either feel how you thought it was going to feel, or you just have it and it's a moment. It's just a moment that happens so quickly. And then you're not able to kind of live in that moment for a long time. So then you feel like the ups and downs of manifesting, which is it's wonderful, but it's also, I don't think people talk about that. You can feel this sort of emptiness sometimes because things happen so quick.
Welcome to Elevated Frequencies, the podcast that gives you access to the next level of house and techno so you can explore an elevated lifestyle. Today's episode is about my favorite subject, which is manifestation. Manifestation is quite literally the reason I'm sitting here talking to you now. I literally manifested this podcast like I've manifested so many other things in my life, and so has my incredible guest, Kaleena Zanders. Now, you may have heard her in the opening clip talk about the potential pitfalls of manifestation, what happens when you manifest too fast. Now, if you're new to manifesting, you don't really know what it is, or maybe you're just dipping your toes in the water, you may be thinking, what the hell are they talking about? Like, it takes me so long to even manifest one thing. Well, that is why today's episode is essential listening. There are so many valuable insights in here. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode with the lovely Kaleena Zanders. I am so excited to have you on because you are just a master at so many different things. And
thank you.
Like you're welcome. When I think of you, I think of all the genres that you are able to cross and like transcend and bring your talent into. And I think that's so fucking cool. And that's what I want to talk to you about.
Thank you. I'm actually really proud of that. So I appreciate you seeing that.
You know, I've heard about you on other interviews that you grew up listening to like Insane Clown Posse. Is that right?
Yeah. I was going through a crazy kid phase, you know, like when you're like 13, you're just like mad at your parents, and like I fully had that whole thing going on. So yeah, I did Insane Clown Posse, Korn, and all the like really generic stuff. Like I don't know if I don't know why I'm smiling and feeling bad for this, but Limp Bizkit, like when they were like, you know, when they were like harder and edgy, you know.
Yeah, that's okay, but I think that's so cool that like. That just speaks to the fact that you're so, you know, that you're able to go into all these different spaces because you have a lot of different inspiration.
Yeah.
And was the Insane Clown Posse thing just to piss off your parents, or did you actually like them?
Honestly, I think it was a bit of both. Cause like at first I just wanted to listen to the hardest stuff ever. Like I would think I had like a Biggie Smalls Notorious B.I.G. CD, and my mom had found it, and she like was like, get rid of this, you know. And so I ever since then I was just trying to listen to the hardest music ever, and like just like kind of hint at the fact that like don't mess with me, I'm hardcore, you know. But and I honestly, right, you can't listen to Insane Clown Posse forever because it's just like it's too intense, it's dark. You know, it's wild. So I went through that phase for maybe like a solid like 4 months.
I did too. That's why I had to ask about it. And the pissing off the parents thing was huge. I don't know how I acquired this, but I got an ICP bumper sticker and put it on my Honda. And my parents were like, get that shit off of your car. Mm-hmm. Now, I can imagine. No shade. I still love ICP. Sometimes I'll put it on and be like, oh my God, I remember. And you're right. It's like very intense. It's not uplifting music, but it brings back memories.
Yeah, great memories. I actually think of it it makes me think of me riding on the school bus my mom made me take summer school. And I think that's another reason why I was like really pissed. So I remember listening to that And then the girl that I was trying to impress at the time, like, I was like, yeah, like, I was like rocking out, showing her some like hard stuff. So yeah, it was a lot of different things.
I love it. That's amazing. And so talk to me about, your transition. Well, first of all, when did you realize that you had these pipes on you?
Well, to be honest, I think, when I was younger, first of all, but not in a way that I was like, oh, I'm going to become a singer. I was definitely connected to music. My mom played a bunch of like gospel records, rock records. Like she did the whole thing. Also, she was, an aerobics instructor. So she always had like all these crazy songs and stuff. So I think it was like more second nature, and it was just like one of those things. I just really love music. And, it didn't really become like a thing until I would say not even in high school. Like I was still nervous and shy, and just like, it was just something personal for me. And yeah, I think, my mom did make me get into musical theater when I was younger. So, but even then I was like, musical theater is like, whatever, I wasn't a musical theater kid. So, I think like maybe in college is when I really was like, oh, I'm going to be a singer, super late.
That's
if
awesome.
You ask me.
And well, I don't think so. I think you were discovering yourself, and it sounds like you came from like a musical family. So it was just like it's not like it came out of left field that you were so good at singing, right? If you have that background and that family, that's important.
Yeah.
So what about the electronic music portion? I want to get into how you literally go from like deep house to like AC Slater. Like that's so cool. I think you were seeing more of it now.
Yeah. For sure.
Really, like you're like hopping to all these different genres. So how did that happen?
Yeah. Well, for dance music specifically, I didn't really get into that until 2015. I would say before that I didn't understand it much, because I only heard it how a lot of people hear it initially. It's just like this sort of noisy, repetitive, music, and it doesn't really make any sense. And that was, prior to 2015. And then my song came out with Sunburn, and Chris Lake remixed it, and like that like put me on the dance bug, or it made me like kind of go, okay, this is interesting. Then I think what really took me over the edge is when I went to a festival. I performed at EDC, I think it was, for the first time. And it was the first time I ever went to something that big. And that was like, I don't know, that was like mind blowing. And then I was just like, okay, I see the community. I understand like why people love this, and, all the different rave portions and the things that come with it. Like that was just kind of like, oh, okay, I can understand it. I can do it. And even then when I said I could do it, I didn't even know what that meant. It was just like, I'm going to do it, and a variety of different styles of DJs hit me up. And so I was experimenting and hopping on different tracks, and kind of seeing like what I like. Also, like, I'm a singer-songwriter, again, come from a rock background, from being in a band and all that stuff. So it was a whole new way of communicating in music for me. And I wouldn't say it was I think it was challenging. It was challenging for me because, in dance music, it's not a whole lot of song. It's just kind of like, a moment here, moment in the drop, maybe, and then something else. So it was really hard for me to wrap my brain around not saying so much.
But what you do say in that limited amount of time is so powerful, and how you sing it is so powerful. And
that's what I learned. I learned that. It's a full-blown learning. Yeah.
Yeah, making the most of those moments. And who I think of, not that you have the same kind of voice, your voices sound different, but I'm sure you know who Lolita Holloway is.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Right on Time. Yeah,
yes.
She had this powerful, insane voice that so many people used, and her story is pretty tragic, not getting the credit that she deserved. But you bring that, like, your voice gives me the same sort of chills when I hear it, where it's just it adds so much to a track, and there's so much power behind it.
Yes.
And it's just really special.
May I add something to what you just said? So a lot of, Black vocalists not getting credit, and being used in that space. And that's why right now I'm such a champion for my own career and trying to make sure that I'm at the forefront of it. And then visibility is so important because I know of so many like stories like that where, you know, a Black vocalist doesn't get their shine or they can't make careers out of it. And like, it's so disappointing. And I started to understand that by walking that path and how easy it is to get into a situation where you think said big DJ is like, yeah, oh my God, so-and-so hit me up. Oh my God, it's like a big deal. And then, you know, all they want to do is basically use you as a factory and put you in there, plug you into their little track or whatever. So yeah, that hearing stories like that and walking my own story in that way too, kind of helped me pivot to like DJing and really like being like, if you want me, you're getting all of me, not just like my vocals. So yeah.
That's amazing. So are you saying, did the DJing part, you actually DJing come later? Or was that kind of happening simultaneously?
No, yeah. So it's so funny. My first manager, he was like, just start DJing, you should. And I was like, I'm like, what is, you know, I kind of was rolling my eyes in a way. And I think it's just because sometimes the persona of a DJ just seems not so much anymore. I feel it's good, but it just seemed at the time very cheesy. And I was just like, why am I going to DJ? I'm not going to DJ. I'm going to DJ. And I resisted for so long. And like my goal was always to be in a band, you know? So that's the only way I saw myself having a career in a lot of ways. And then, I don't know, just as time goes on, I'm hopping up on more sets, you know, Coachella, AC, Sunburn, all of them, like Bijou, North Carolina. I was like, God, these guys are having so much fun. Like they're really having a lot of fun. They aren't struggling. They're turning knobs and creating a vibe. And I was just like, I really need to start doing that for myself, for my own sanity, and for my own enjoyment of music. So yeah, it became, during the pandemic is mostly when I like started to do that.
And how is it different than being in a rock band? Because I guess, you know, you were providing the vocals for other artists or for other bands, but now you're making, you know, you're curating the music that's going to go with it. So what's that like?
First of all, it is a wonderful, wonderful joy as far as thinking that you can create a vibe for somebody or for an audience and being able to put together your own style. It's really cool. And I'm learning myself in ways that I always thought I would get here, but not through like DJing. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think I'd have to like, you do have to analyze yourself a lot. And like, you're like, how are you taste making? Like, what do you like? And how do you put that, you know, to the forefront? And, honestly, it's been so, liberating, and it's been, like all those little like things I used to fuss over in music. Like I don't fuss over anymore because I have something else to distract me, if that makes sense. So it's like, I have like I have my manager, which is good. He handles all the business. And then all I can do is focus on the fun and the creation and putting together something that I can actually make a career out of. So I think that's the biggest thing is I feel just empowered, and it's so cool. And then like people, you get an immediate response, obviously. And I don't know, I'm finding it to be like almost like a new journey, a new wonder. So I love it.
That's amazing. And I know I want to ask you, because I've seen you talk about it on your page, and we talked about it a little bit the first time we met, talking about manifesting, right? And you said that you weren't expecting your career to come, you know, from this direction, from house music and dance music. So talk to me about manifesting and what it means in your life, because it's a big topic in mine.
Yeah. Same, honestly. I'd say my earliest, like when I first moved to LA is when I first started to tap into like manifesting. And I remember I lived in this like 1-bedroom apartment in Hollywood, and I would just write down a whole bunch of things that I wanted, you know, and design, and just like, I don't know, I could just see myself doing it and talking out loud and like, not convincing people, but just sharing like so much of what I was going to be doing. And then so much so that, and I'm going to go back, but people see what I'm doing now and they're like, Kaleena, you always said you'd be doing something like this. And I was like, really? And I was like, that's insane because I feel like it's almost like a natural practice to just walk in to see what you want and visualize and visualize and visualize, you know? But then, and then after that though, I did start doing yoga and become a vegetarian, and practicing a lot of like, just like honing in the skill of your like power and just like your spirituality and all of that stuff. So I think, and I also wanted to become a teacher and try to teach yoga and stuff, but then I realized music was the way. And I don't know, I think just constantly believing and constantly writing oh my God, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, because even last night I told my girlfriend, I was like, I don't know what I want next. Like, I was like, I need to spend this week writing down a full picture of my life so that I can grab that and feel fulfilled, you know, getting those things. Because sometimes even within manifesting, like you get the thing and you're like, okay, cool. And then you're like, you know, and it doesn't either feel how you thought it was going to feel, or you just have it and it's a moment. It's just a moment that happens so quickly. And then you're not able to kind of live in that moment for a long time. So then you feel like the ups and downs of manifesting, which is it's wonderful, but it's also, I don't think people talk about that. You can feel this sort of emptiness sometimes because things happen so quick.
Especially, I think, in this lifestyle, right? Where it's like, okay, you booked this big show or you did this big thing and it's very public and it's very out there. You know, and then you said like, it's over. And then you're like, okay, what's next? But I do think people, even who don't necessarily want to call it manifesting, they underestimate the power of writing down the shit that's in your brain.
Oh, I know.
Like you got to get it out. You got to get it out on paper and see it in front of you, or it's just a jumbled mess. You need to see it tangible on paper and see if it makes sense when you get it out, you know?
Yes. You know who's another random's kind of random, but something that taught me about manifesting is rappers. Rappers are constantly they're constantly writing down and talking about, like, if you think about Jay-Z, like go back and listen to all his like songs or whatever songs, he's literally manifesting his life, like talking out loud, saying that I will be this, I am this, I am this, I am this.
Ooh, I just got chills.
Like rappers are really good at manifesting everything. Yeah.
That's crazy. Now I'm going to go listen back to a bunch of Jay-Z songs.
Oh yeah. Listen to Jay-Z, Drake. Wow. Even the bad stuff, like, you know, like Biggie Smalls manifested his death. So did Tupac. You know what I mean? Like words are so powerful. Writing things down are so powerful. Your mind is powerful. And, you know, we're meant to shape and manipulate our realities in so many different ways that we've been given those powers. And it's like, you have to really be conscious. Oh, that's another thing. You can't, even though manifesting is cool, like you actually have to be aware of this, your psyche and your mental health in order to do the right, you know, right manifesting or whatever it is, because we're all walking around with these brilliant brains and we're kind of like witches in a way, you know?
I always get like feel icky when I'm around somebody who speaks very negatively about themselves. Like, oh, I'm so unlucky. This happens to me. That happens to me. And I want to tell them, I'm like, you have to stop saying that because it's going to keep coming true. People don't realize, you know, sometimes, because I haven't always been like this. I'm sure you haven't either. Like it's something that you learn to incorporate into your life, but I'll catch myself sometimes saying something negative and I'm like, cut that shit out or it's going to happen tenfold. And it's not about toxic positivity, but it's about realizing that when something bad happens, by speaking negatively, you're only just amplifying and making it worse, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, lately I've been going on an interesting journey. I think I'm just discovering a lot, changing a lot. More is being required of me as far as, you know, like I got signed to Wasserman at the end of last year. So agent now, I'm putting out more songs now, like all of these different things. I have a lot more to juggle. So manifesting and writing down goals and all of that stuff, sometimes I'm like, where am I in all of it? You know? So what I've been trying to practice, and like I said last night, I was like, I need to refocus and like feel that like grounded feeling amongst this chaos so that I can still have this like base of like projection or whatever, just a healthy base to create from, you know?
Absolutely. And is journaling part of your practice too? Is it like a daily or weekly thing? Do you like to journal?
Yeah, I go through phases. Like when I'm like now, I'm going through the phase of writing every morning when I wake up. And again, when I feel out of sorts, that's when I try to ground myself the most in writing. You know, drinking lots of juices, and you know, just like little things that are to help me with clarity. You know, scientifically, your body, however that feels, like that's really important. Being more of a fine-tuned conduit for the energy that's supposed to like channel through me, you know? So yeah, journaling is really important because you get all the messy stuff out in addition to you're just kind of creating alignment. So
it's great. And I think it's so important, whether you're an artist or attendee of these types of shows or just going out in general. It can be very disorienting late nights, you know, for someone like you touring. You know, there's just so much, it's so chaotic. It's a very chaotic lifestyle. It's exciting and it's what you want. You know, you're obviously you're doing what you love to do, but it's so important to have that home base to come back to and to, you know, zen out a little bit.
Yeah. And the home base too has to follow you.
That's a great point. So you're saying like bringing that sense of peace, like we're being able to like tap into that wherever you go.
Yes. Yeah.
And is that hard to do as somebody who's always traveling for shows, or have you found a way to kind of ground yourself?
Well, I think it's not as challenging because you're spending a lot of time by yourself, like in hotels. So I honestly think it's nicer in a lot of ways because you're not distracted by like home stuff. And you're just like, oh, I have to be in my hotel from this hours. I know that I can meditate, I can write, my new thing now when I travel is I try to like go find a piece of the city that's really cool. And like I went to Detroit recently and I'm like, okay, let me find something I would never do in a city. And I was like, okay, I went to the Motown Museum. And like, that was really invigorating and grounding. And it was like, okay, I'm not just here to play for people, but I can have an enriching experience, which all ties into your inspiration and what you want to manifest in dreaming big. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that must be so beneficial for getting inspiration for creating art or whatever it is, just seeing how, you know, people do their daily lives in other parts of the country, the world. And then, yeah, that's such a cool privilege. And it's one that you've earned, obviously, but to be able to go see these other cities and I don't know, just have these really awesome experiences.
Yeah.
And you manifested it. You did it. Yeah, it's just really so powerful. And it's what, you know, manifesting is what made me meet you for the first time because, you know, I met you at EDC and they didn't have a job opening. I just decided one day, I wrote down in my journal, I was going to be a freelancer for Insomniac and I made a audition tape and then submitted it.
No way.
They didn't have a job opening. I was just like, let me manifest this really quick. So that's how that happened. That's how we met.
Wow.
That's
great.
Yeah. Yeah. People really underestimate, I think, like just being big and bold and intentional can lead to so many amazing experiences. So what's next? Because you said I know you just told me you don't really know, right? Like you have to sit down and kind of figure it out. But do you have any ideas? Because you're doing so, like I said, you're working with so many different genres. You're doing so many different festivals. such a
Well,
fun garden variety of work.
yes. Well, that's interesting though. Like the what next part is that I'm trying to make sure that I don't manifest things too quickly so I can enjoy what I just manifested. So like I've got an agent. I'm so happy. I'm with a label, happy. Like all those things have to play itself out in a very like, healthy, and I think it has to arrive and be out there in the world in the right way for a while. So because I have a lot of goals and a lot of things I want to get to, and I know I have to allow for things to grow too. So right now it is all about creating the best experience for people at my shows and fine tuning what I'm trying to express. It's all about that right now. And I've been I work with other producers all the time and fine tuning my sound. I'm putting out an EP with the label that's super cute. But even then I already know that I have more to say, like another palette of sounds that I want to put out. So, it's like you manifest it and then everything kind of just has a ripple effect, and like it happens after you think about it. So so I'm already on to the next thing. But, I'm happy about being able to put out music as my own self and for people to latch onto and for people to see me as an artist. I'm really, really proud of that. And I also want to be an actress and make movies. So that's a whole nother thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody can do it, you can. I mean, you really are such a fantastic entertainer. I mean, you give it your all on stage, and to be able to literally sing and DJ at the same time.
Oof.
And you're so like, your energy is so good. I think, every DJ has their own style, but when I am seeing somebody who's just like standing up there and not like moving around, it's not as exciting as someone like you, where you're like putting your whole chest into it. Like you're like jumping around, you're smiling, like you were literally born to do this. And
Thank you.
that's really cool. Acting. Well, you're in the right place, and you have the agent.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I definitely I want to be in Jordan Peele style films. Like
there you go.
Sort of like scary movies, but like action oriented, psycho thrillers.
Yeah. That's amazing. We should, I'll tweet this episode to him like 500 times. I'm just kidding.
Woo! Can you imagine?
Unless
next month,
unless you want me to.
I mean, tweet it.
I love what you're doing. I mean, you also find time in between creating art, doing podcasts. You do the podcast circuit. I've seen you on other shows with interviews. You also find the time to be able to talk about really important issues on your own page and, keep the conversation going about so many things that are important to this industry. So it's just, they always say, if you need something done, ask the busiest person in the room, because they'll do it. And I think you're, a really good representation of that, because
oh wow,
you're just have you ever heard that before?
What you just said?
That phrase?
No, I've never heard that.
Well,
but it makes sense.
I think, yeah, it does for you, because like every time I log on to Instagram, I'm seeing something from you. So it's really admirable. You're just like, you're a powerhouse.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that you see that. Because I am constantly doing the most and trying to take the most care with every situation, even though I'm doing a lot. And I was just watching a podcast with Maria Shriver, Oprah, and I can't remember the other lady, but to me, those women are the type of people that I would like to be, as far as having a huge platform, but being able to affect like change in the world. You know what I mean? And like and also to have just a fabulous time being awesome, doing the stuff that they do. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I'm like, how does Oprah do it? How is she getting to be everywhere at one time and then being a positive force in the world, you know?
Like I said, ask the busiest person in the room if you want something done, and you are the EDM Oprah. So I think it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of alignment there. A lot of alignment. It's amazing. And she's the manifesting queen. I mean, really, like, her ability is so strong that she doesn't even have to write stuff down anymore. She just thinks it and it becomes reality.
I know. Oh, I wanted to say something about that, though. Planning, though, having the right people around you to help you plan all of these wonderful manifestations, that's so important.
So building a team, you're saying, that can support you, and absolutely. That's important for people to hear, because I think a lot of people, especially creatives, are afraid to relinquish control over their work. Like, you'll see so many creatives who are like, I'm going to make the song, I'm going to edit the video, I'm going to like do all of the above, because it's like their baby. So building a strong team, that's huge.
Yeah. I would not be able to do, well, when I met my manager, I was at my wit's end. Like, I was doing too much and not being able to like let go responsibilities and stuff. So as soon as that happened, I was able to dream big, do more. And now that I have an agent, now I can do even more, you know what I mean? And everyone's on board and supports me, and they support my ideas. And now that I have a label as well, like, all of these things are open up more access, you know, to whatever I'm trying to create. So I'm thankful that they trust me as well, because I really do feel, I feel very passionate and very clear about being a creator, you know.
I think that's great advice to end on, you know, build a team that has faith in you, whether that's, you know, a support network of family, friends, whoever it may be. Because nobody, you know, you don't accomplish things in a vacuum or alone.
No,
everybody needs help sometimes.
Yep. All the time, honestly.
Absolutely.
On the flip side, I'm a big baby too.
This was, did you say you're a big baby?
Oh yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Just like, just like a baby, like just a baby.
I'm going to use that as like the teaser clip for this episode, because that's perfect.
I love that.
That's perfect. No, I'm just kidding. This was really insightful. Thank you so much for, you know, lending me the time and talking about this manifestation stuff, because I think for people who even are just dipping their toes in the water, hearing from artists that they look up to and admire, like, maybe that'll give them the push they need, you know, to try it out.
Yes, they try it out, do it. But I will say, I don't know if you're still recording this part, but mental health is something to tackle as well, so that you can clean out the little bad, I won't say bad habits or conditions that we've collected in our psyche from whatever. It could be childhood, it could be whatever, anything. We're all experiencing stuff that leaves impressions on us. And, you know, it's good to get clarity and clear out a lot of the baggage, so that you can be fine-tuned for to receive and to give,
100%,
and to
yes.
especially give. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're completely spot on. I mean, you have to take care of your mental health first, so you're manifesting the right things, right? And you're not using it like for not the right purposes. And the other thing you said, which, you know, I always talk about, you have to, in order to receive, you have to give. It's like a feedback loop. It's the best kind of feedback loop there is.
Yep.
And so that's really important.
Yep.
So thank you for sharing, Kaleena.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
I am so grateful we got to speak again, and enjoy the rest of your day in sunny California, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can find Kaleena Zanders on Instagram and Twitter, where she talks about manifesting all the time. I want to touch back on what she said about that feeling of emptiness you may feel after you've manifested something, right? It's like a big moment you've been building towards, putting together the puzzle pieces, planning for so long, and it happens. It could be like an event, like in Kaleena's case, a show, or in yours or my case, like a 30th birthday party or a wedding or a graduation, whatever it is. You're building, and then it happens and it's so quick and it's over and you're like, shit, now what? And I think a lot of us fall into this trap, and especially if you're a high achiever, you like to achieve things, it brings you, joy and energy. You are constantly looking to achieve the next thing and work on the next thing. And we forget to relish in the moment and be in the moment. That's something my mother-in-law always says. Or we forget to be in the moment and really enjoy what we've just manifested, because we're like already thinking about the next thing. And one really easy way to combat this, because it's not a sustainable way to live, is to express gratitude. And it can be as simple as talking to your family and friends about what you're grateful for. That's not just something you have to do on the holidays. It's something you should be doing every day. Or write in a gratitude journal. I have one of these on my desk at all times, and I write what I'm grateful for all the time, because it helps me remember how far I've come and makes me stop and smell the roses a little bit. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe on YouTube. We are dropping new episodes every Thursday with more amazing artists. You don't want to miss out on these conversations. I'll see you next time.